Should we start this in an unprofessional way?
Sir, ma'am, and any genetically engineered life forms that happen to be wandering by, there appears to be a new podcast in the download tubes. Welcome to the Fully Charged Show podcast. On this episode, Johnny reacts badly to something that is very exclusive.
It's too exclusive for work.
It's too exclusive. It's actually more exclusive that I can't actually absorb the data. It's so exclusive.
If you can't absorb the exclusivity, then I'm just truly screwed.
And cats. Wretched damn cats.
I'm just. Can I let my cat in? I know it's not a euphemism or anything. It's just outside my office door. 1 second, hang on.
Okay. There's the cat.
Sorry, the cat's just knocked my microphone over. Cat, you're such a.
Before all this guff, please don't forget to subscribe to this podcast, and a quick shout out to our amazing, generous, patient, kind, tolerant Patreon supporters. Without your help, we simply would not exist. So a huge thank you, even a thank to, from all of us here at Fully Charged. And if you would like to consider supporting us, don't feel any obligation, please. But if you are interested in any way in what we do and in keeping it going, please scroll down to view the show notes and find the link there. And just one mention, because it's very exciting now, tickets are selling fast for the Fully Charged live show at Silverstone this year, 7th, 8th and 9th of June. So get your tickets while you still can, if you want to. No pressure. Details are once again in the show notes or fullychargedshow.co.uk. Terms and conditions apply. They don't really. Oh, I suppose they do. Oh. Hello and welcome to the Fully Charged Pod Show. There we go. What we just said was, I think we've got to keep going, because we said that we're not going to be very professional tonight because it's all a bit of a sudden thing, and we started off, I think, brilliantly.
I don't want to be too professional tonight. No, I'm actually. This is an evening show, as far as we're aware.
As far as we know, it's an evening show. It's in the evening time. But yes, the Fully Charged podcast. Although actually, I quite like Pod Show. I think that's quite
Pod
nice.
Show.
But, yeah,
Pod Show. It reminds me of pod parking at Heathrow Terminal 5.
Oh yes, that's a bit. You get a bit of a pod
which is
show
electric.
There. That's electric.
Yeah,
autonomous.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I'm Robert Llewellyn, and I'm thankfully joined by Johnny Smith today, which is wonderful. Johnny, thank you so much for.
It's a pleasure, Robert. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Whatever you're doing.
Yeah, because that's the great thing, isn't it? When people are listening to this, they could be doing anything, because you can listen to stuff when you're doing other things. It's harder with the televisual medium.
I think that's the joy of radio in general, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah,
and that's why every time we do this, I feel like I'm like I've suddenly become a DJ, but without having to audition and apply through a station.
Yeah, or do it. We'll play classics from the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Well, exactly. I was going to slip in a quick bit of Roachford whilst I was going to sip on my Corona Extra.
I love Roachford.
Which is what I'm doing.
Oh, I love Roachford. They were so good.
We can just throw in some Mike and the Mechanics and then put the kettle on, Robert. How about that? Yeah,
wouldn't that be lovely? Let's do. But anyway, well, you've just quickly tell me about, because we can talk about that. It's going to go out in a couple of weeks. But the Kia Soul EV. I don't know why I can't just say Kia Soul. I always have to say Kia Soul.
So Brian Soul.
Yeah.
The Kia Soul, e-Soul as they're calling it in everywhere,
e-Soul,
apart from the UK, where they decided it might sound a little bit like, you know what. So they're calling it the Soul EV.
Soul EV, very good.
And yeah, I really like it, because I've liked all of the Souls. And as far as electric Souls go, everyone I've ever talked to who ever bought one of the previous gen cars, has just thoroughly enjoyed it. So I think
Yeah.
it's one of those cars where people just fall in love with them, and they just think, it's like a little family pet kind of car.
Yeah.
And it's a divisive looking thing. You either get it and appreciate its quirks, or you just think it's horrendous.
Yeah.
But I think the new one is even better, and it is slightly bigger all round.
Right.
But you know, like the outgoing Soul is 27 kilowatt hour battery.
Right.
The entry level new one is 39.2.
Right.
And they're not confirming whether they're going to bring in both flavours. I think they're only going to bring in one flavour of battery, and I think that's going to be the 64 kilowatt hour long range one. So it's basically a rebodied Kona.
It's the same underneath as the Kona. It's going to be the same.
It's independent suspension, and it's got the same electric motor, and it's and very similar DNA to the E-Nero, which is its sort of older, slightly more sensible brother. Is your brother's older than you, isn't he?
He is older than me,
and is he
he's
slightly
a lot
more
sensible? Oh, well, heavens above, so sensible.
And my brother is older than me and also more sensible.
Right.
So our brothers are E-Neros.
Right.
And we, a few years younger, we're the Souls.
We're the Kia Souls. Sadly, I'm a Kia Soul with, rather nasty kind of scratch down the side, and I've curbed one of the wheels. And my rear wiper's a bit tatty.
It's a bit floppy, the rear wiper. It's a bit droopy.
But the little glimpse I saw of it on the little thing you shot which was on the Twitters today, it looked quite different to me. I mean, because I like the Soul. I mean, that idea that if you get a kid to draw a car, it's often two boxes, which is essentially what the Kia Soul looks like. It's sort of a box that you sit in and a box out the front bit with an engine in it. Is how it was originally conceived.
That's exactly what it is. But I like that.
I do. Yeah.
And it's roomy. Back seat especially is roomy, and of course you got enough headroom to wear a top hat.
Yes,
you could dress up like some Victorian steampunk dude and comfortably sit in it. So it's not for everyone, but I really like it, and I welcome seeing them on the road. I think with other Hyundai and Kia products, I think they're suffering from their own success at the moment in a way, because they just can't build the bloody things quickly enough. So be interesting to see how this one goes down.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that. But then, so that the one story. Now this story might not be even a story, but it just caught my eye because of the. I actually had I did a podcast earlier today where I was talking about my take. They wanted my take on autonomous cars.
Okay.
And I haven't really got one, other than I think they won't be here quite as soon as some people think, but I'm very happy to be proved wrong. But the idea of not owning a car, which is a difficult one for our generation, but having them there when you need them is a kind of an interesting concept, simply because there's a lot of ways it makes sense because of the amount we don't use cars that we own, which is rather the vast majority of the time.
It is an alarming amount of time. Yeah,
and it might just be the headline that caught me, but it was basically there's a company called Canoo, Canoo, in California, of course, but they've been described as the Netflix for cars.
Oh gosh, okay.
So you get a subscription. You have a subscription. I've kind of heard of this sort of idea before. You have a subscription, and you can then just order a car, and it comes, and you drive it, and then I don't know what happens.
You get charged per hour or whatever. Well, look, I think it makes a lot of sense for when you look at the stats of younger people passing their driving test less and less.
Yeah,
they're less hungry to pass the test, and normally it's because they think, well, I can't afford to buy a car. If I live in a city, I can't afford to park it. I probably can't afford to insure it on an annual basis. So if you remove all those factors, maybe the thirst for passing your test when you're 17 again will come back. Yeah. And you'll just have a hailable, bookable, non-committal car driving experience. And a lot of people are in this sort of non-committal car state of mind, which upsets me because I'm a traditional old.
Yeah, I think we'd always have trouble with it. I mean, I would use those services, if I was in a foreign city or something like that, I would love it. That would be great. Yeah. But the idea of, like the moment that I'm standing outside the front of my house and the last car that I lease or own goes away and there isn't one there, and I'd be quite stressed, you know. And they go, well, you could just use your app, Robert. You could just get a car delivered immediately. Yeah, no, but it's not one here.
No, you want your own.
Yeah.
It's like, I know that in the right-hand door pocket I've got a box of chewing gum. I know in the centre console sometimes I have those, you know, those shortbreads that you get from hotel rooms.
Those are nice.
I tend to steal those, and I have one in the centre console in case I'm stuck in traffic, and I get a little bit of a shiver on. And then, you know, so it's a habitual.
You'd have to have then like an emergency escape bag with you at all times that has all those things in.
Totally.
You know, which is quite an extra lot of hassle. The thing I loved about this was, you know, there's this company, Canoe, and it's set up in California, and it's going to do this thing. It's not done anything yet. It's just secured $1 billion in funding.
What?
You just go, how do they do that? And there's no clarity whether the company has any plans to get into car manufacturing or anything else. It's just, but they've suddenly got £1 billion.
Oh,
why don't we do a startup that is like really flaky? See if we can get £1 billion of investment.
I'm quite happy to do a flaky startup. If anyone out there is considering investing, I've got a lot of flaky ideas. I'm quite happy to, you know.
Well, is there a startup called Flaky? Because that would be good.
I'll be super
flaky.com.
Yeah, super flaky.
Super flaky. Yeah.
It sounds like an itchy scalp formula to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's quite interesting, Canoe. Well, when we go to the States the next time, we ought to try and see if we can canoe something.
Maybe we should try and investigate that kind of thing. But yeah. I do see it on the rise, and I know that will live hand in hand with a level of autonomy as time goes on.
Yes, well, that's the thing. Yes, I mean, and it is that thing that was what I was talking about earlier on, which was that you know, the I've heard it a couple of times now from sort of, you know, people who know everything about the automotive industry, but also some people who actually work in the automotive industry saying, you know, I can't see autonomous cars with people in the next 10 years, but I can see autonomous cars that arrive at your house with no one in them.
Yeah.
And you get in and you drive it. You know, that's a much more plausible thing. And I remember seeing that in Vegas at CES.
CES, yeah.
A few years ago, which was a BMW i3 that drove up out, you know, it was all set up, but drove up outside a hotel, and a guy walked out and got in it and drove off. But the car drove to the entrance of the hotel. There was no one in it at all. The mirrors were folded back while it was driving, because of course it didn't need them. Quite interesting.
That is freaky. I quite like that.
And it went off and parked. You know, he got out first of all. So I mean, he drove in, he got out, just left the car right in front of the hotel, and it drove off and parked itself. That was the thing. And apparently, because I only saw it do this once, apparently every time in between each demonstration, they moved all the cars in the car park, so that it wasn't just going to one preordained slot. It had to find somewhere to park.
Oh, so you were checking its intelligence.
Yes, yeah.
And that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
But that was like probably 5 or 6 years ago, so it's not like this. That's why I've sort of got more sceptical about it, in that it's kind of, you know, back then I thought, oh well, they'll all be doing this in 5 years. Well, they're not.
No,
you know?
No.
But you know, it's kind of. But anyway, the next one I just thought, because I just wanted to say Rooms, the VW story about their new SUV. So it's part, because they're just the row of cars that Volkswagen are going to be doing, electric cars, is bonkers. They're revealing this at the Shanghai Auto Show. Yeah. But Rooms, the ID Rooms, ROOMZZ. Catchy,
okay. Room
memorable.
With a double Z. Okay, so is that like a sleepy room, also known as a bedroom, or is that what it is?
I don't know.
Fully drivable, like sleeping palace.
Yeah.
Okay.
They've got a lot of Zs going on. The ID Vision sedan, VIZZION.
The Buzz, the Croz.
The Croz, and now this is the Rooms. But it's an SUV, I suppose. It's a slightly bigger SUV.
It's the latest in the series of ID concepts utilising VW's MEB platform. Blah blah. They're adding a full-size SUV. You're absolutely right.
Yeah,
you weren't lying when you said it.
No,
and I didn't ever think you were.
I mean, I sometimes wonder about making things up like that. Have you heard about the new ID Rooms? Is the sort of thing I would say.
So the current VW SUVs are the Tiguan and the Touareg, which is the big one. And in America, you have another one called what's it called?
Because there's a pickup. Because every now and then I'll see a massive pickup in America and go, assume it's a Ford or a Chevy, and it's a VW. I mean, it's a huge thing. You see them in Australia as well. They're really big.
The one in the UK is the Amarok.
Right,
but
I think there's bigger versions that I've seen. There's some monster thing I saw in Australia recently. Yeah. I don't know what it was.
Well, I guess it's I mean that it'd be interesting to see what, and I'm just scrolling this as I said, what order they are going to release all of the ID, because obviously the ID itself, the one you've driven.
Yeah, the
Golf replacement.
I would think that's going to be the first, I would imagine.
That's the first. That goes into production this year.
Yeah.
But people won't get it on their doorstep until next year.
Yeah.
What comes after that, because we've got the ID Buzz, the wonderful microbus.
Yeah.
That's 2022. I think it's 2022. They got this electric dune buggy concept, which we don't know is going to become real, or whether they're just carrot dangling there. And
I would think that's a bit of dangling.
I just hope that they just say, look, you can buy the flat platform off us, and we're going to send you the plans for you to 3D print any body shell you want.
Yeah, well, that'd be great, wouldn't it?
I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
Blimey hell.
Yeah. Blimey hell. I mean, it's good.
I have a little micro story, which...
Oh, no, good.
And it is literally small because it is about smart.
Yes. No, you did say about that. So, because I know you're a big smart fan.
I'm a massive smart fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I totally understand it.
And it was it was actually the first car I ever reviewed on fully charged.
Exactly. Yes, it was.
So I have a little affection towards it.
Yeah.
But the Smart brand has just been bought out or semi-bought out by the Chinese firm Geely.
Wow.
So Daimler, who own it, I think have sold a 50% share to the Chinese company that own Volvo and the London electric taxi company, and they bought Lotus in 2017. So they are Dysoning up decent brands and putting them into some sort of creative cauldron, which is great, because taking a 50% share of Smart means they get the R&D of small, safe vehicles, which I think will be really good for countries where there's a massive problem with congestion. Yeah. And also, Smart has struggled quite recently. To try and... The thing about Smarts is they're quite expensive for what they are.
Well, they're so small. I mean, that one, we both sat in one, didn't we? Was that in Paris? I can't remember which motor show that was. I remember getting in one. And I have been in them before, but not for a while. And you just go, God, how do you... Because the interior felt like you're in a big Jag. You know, it was huge.
Oh, yeah. It's all legroom.
So clever. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is a clever car. And I think it's cruelly underrated, actually.
Yeah,
because people go, there's no point in owning a two-seater car, and just dismiss it. But actually, it's brilliant, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's been now 50% bought out by Geely in China, and of course they're only going to be electric. Smarts are only going to be electric from next year.
Right. So they're not even making any new petrol.
I think they are winding down production of petrol right now. So I'm actually going to drive one in the next month or so, just to remind myself of what they look like. Yeah. They're also going to make them, I think, in China.
Right. Oh God, it's all happening in China, basically.
It's fully happening in China.
Yeah. Well, that's because that's the next story, the very bendy bus. You just think, well, how bendy can you make a bendy bus?
It's something I think about on a nightly basis. As I'm sipping my lager right now, I'm thinking, how bendy can a bus be?
Well, this one is double. It's double bendy, because most bendy buses have got one bend. They've got a single bend.
Single bend, yes.
Solo bends, but this is a double bend. So the K12A is 27 metres long, can seat 250 passengers, has a top speed of 70 kilometres an hour, which is actually, that's not very fast, is it, 70 kilometres an hour? About like 50.
65?
Yeah, something like that.
It's fast enough if it's got two joints in the middle of it.
Exactly. But it's never going to go that fast because it's driving in cities, isn't it? But 300 kilometre range, electric, of course. Amazing.
Blimmin'
So
heck.
it's BYD, Chinese, built in China. But it's apparently Colombia's... I love this, because I'd love to go to Colombia and Bogota.
I've never been to Colombia.
No, I've never been to South America full stop. I've seen it over the Californian border. I've seen Mexico. I know it's there. You know, when you see it, you go, "Yep, that's Mexico."
I've never been either. Should we engineer in an electric-based road trip all of a sudden?
Oh, that'd be great. Because
I think we should.
Well, there was those lovely students from Imperial College that they built an amazing electric car. You know, they were postgrad students. They've all gone on to run proper companies that make things. But they drove from Alaska to Tierra del Fuego, so along the Pacific Coast Highway, or whatever it's called. There's a highway that you can drive all the way down, but there's bits of it, and they had to put the car on a ferry because the authorities said if you drive through there, you'll be kidnapped. They'll blow the car up and they'll hold you to ransom, and then they'll shoot you.
Well, I mean that's the slightly sad side of South America sometimes.
But that was Central America. The rest of it, they had an amazing time. That was in sort of El Salvador or that bit. I don't know.
Fantastic.
Because we've definitely been invited to go to Costa Rica. That's definitely on the card. We've got cars that we can drive. We've got a nice house we can stay in. That was Monica, who did an episode of the podcast. Monica Araya has said, come to Costa Rica. So we've got to get there one day.
Do the Costa Ricans, did they go big on the VW Beetle back in the day?
I bet they did, because they were very big in South America, weren't they?
They were big, because I'd love to FedEx an EV conversion kit over like a month before, and then go over and then sit on the veranda of a nice, lovely, a nice building. You could be in a rocking chair, singing Sweet Nothings to me whilst drinking rum, and then I'll try and assemble this Beetle to go from piston to electric in a matter of 3 or 4 days.
Easy,
and then we can pootle or hiss or whatever you do around in an electric Beetle. There you go.
It would be good. I'd love to do that. Oh yeah. No, it sounds Costa Rica does sound amazing, because they're 100 and whatever. You know, they're a bit like Orkney. They're the sort of Central American Orkney. They're 100% renewably powered, and there's a big move to get. They import all the oil they burn to drive cars and do everything. So if they don't, and they generate all their own electricity, and they got more than they can use. So it really it's one of those places where it makes total sense.
That's
the big long bendy bus. It's that whole bus story of Chinese buses that there's so many. BYD has delivered more than 50,000 pure electric buses worldwide already.
What? 50,000?
50,000. Well, there's 16,300 and something in Shenzhen. I don't know how you say it. That city that's near Hong Kong.
You've got to park them somewhere. I mean, just simple logistics. Where do they all go?
Well, they've got bus parks. I mean, they would already have that, because it was a bus. The bus authority in Shenzhen had 16,000 diesel ones, and they got rid of them in a day. They went, oh, no, we're not using those anymore. We'll have the electric ones. But if you think of how much the battery capacity of 50,000 buses,
oh gosh,
it's a lot.
Well, that's presumably why the production of things like Hyundai Konas is restricted a little.
It's all gone into public transport, which is really good. I totally approve of that.
Wow.
So don't moan when you can't get your Kona, says the man who's got a Kona currently charging in the garage.
I was going to say.
Actually, when I was chatting with my brother earlier on, I was going, I get accused of living in a liberal elitist bubble, and it went quiet. And I thought the phone had died. Then he just said, "Well, you do."
It's true. It's true.
Sort of. It doesn't feel. Why doesn't it feel like it? Why don't I feel all sort of rich, like rich people?
That depends on what you're trying to achieve, really.
I suppose so. It does, doesn't it? Yeah. I don't want to talk about that. Let's not talk about it.
You're rich on life, Robert.
I am very.
You're rich on life. Every time you look, you check your little app, and it tells you that your solar panels have given you loads of energy. And,
that's true. Yeah.
That's all. That's true. Pretty enriching, I think.
Yeah.
I know my life's enriching because I'm talking to you on a microphone with earphones on.
Isn't it? We're at either side of the country. It's extraordinary.
And I can look out, and I'm seeing a really textbook crescent of a moon.
Yeah, no, it's a beautiful. Now, I will now admit to our listeners that I did have a little garden gentleman's relief session. That sounds much worse. I'll just say
that does
again.
sound way worse.
I had a wee in the garden, which was lovely because I was looking up at the crescent moon.
Oh, it's classic tonight.
But
it's
then I slightly misaimed. Let's say that I wasn't focusing on the job in hand.
Oh, literally in hand, yeah.
So there was a little bit of. So I've left my shoes outside.
Oh, you haven't. Seriously. Oh, you dirty mouse.
It seemed like the best solution.
Oh.
That's a terrible thing to admit.
The moon was that good.
It was beautiful. It's a beautiful moon.
Wow.
Beautiful moon. I was also looking for the black hole, but I think that's a little bit far away.
You need multiple telescopes for that.
Yeah. 65 million light years, I think it is away, something like that. So when what we saw in that picture happened was like 10 million years after the dinosaurs. There's one of those stories I read today, and it didn't quite go in, as you can tell.
Well,
and it had numbers in it, so I was hopeless to remember that.
I just can't ingest that kind of depth of information.
I know, it's bonkers, isn't it, when it gets that big? When people talk about range anxiety, I want an electric car that can drive for 65 million light years in between charges.
It won't be long before you drive in Australia and there'll be so much self-charging on the roof going on from the sun.
Yeah, that's true.
Depending on what speed you drive, it might be constantly topping up.
There's people doing. I mean, the Solar Car Challenge is doing that every 2 years. But we are going to see that car. I'm very excited about the car in Eindhoven, and I can't remember what it's called, which is another variant, a slightly bigger variant of the Sono Motors Scion that we saw.
Oh, okay.
It's a bigger car with more solar panels on it. It still wouldn't charge, you wouldn't be able to drive it forever because it's sunny, but it will add a considerable amount of range in a day, just in normal sunlight. And that is built by the team of engineers who were post-grads when they did that solar challenge. So they've really got a lot of experience in building things that, because those cars they don't have batteries. If it's not sunny, they stop.
Yeah, so there's no. That's right. There's no storage facility.
No storage. No.
It's like the little windmill on my kitchen windowsill. When the sun came out this morning, it started whizzing round.
Oh yeah, I love those.
Jump.
Yeah, we had one. Yes, we had one on the window that was a sucky thing that you put on the window, and it had It had three little fairies flying around in a circle, and I'd always forget. And I'd be sort of washing up in the morning, and then this thing would start when the sun hit the tiny little solar panel. It would start, and you can hear it. If it was
that,
you'd hear, and the little fairies just start spinning around. And it would catch me out so many times. I go, "What the hell's that noise?"
You realise it's the fairies.
It's the fairies. It was my little fairies spinning around very gently. Yeah, I don't know where that's gone.
You were at this Ford's Go Electric event. You might have already mentioned it. Have you mentioned this in your...
I have mentioned it, but not... I mean, I thought it was worth discussing it with you just because you're so much more familiar with that, the car launches and big car... I mean, I've been to quite a few now, but it was that... What I was fascinated by was the response of the audience, if you like, because it was 100% automotive journalists from all over Europe. So I had every European language possible in that audience. It was extraordinary. It was not just the Brits made up 5% of it.
Okay,
there was a lot of people. Really big event, huge event, really big stage. I mean, and they can do that stuff now so well. So the stage was the whole stage, and the backdrop was a giant video screen, if you like. I'm sure it's projected, but incredible. I know. And actually, I found it every now and then I get a bit dizzy because the guy would be walking around explaining. They did lots of quite big stridey walking, the presenters.
It's a prerequisite now of
I think you have to do striding.
Like yeah.
But then I'd go and look at him, and it was all weird because there was clouds floating under his feet. And the whole thing was like you were flying through space, and he was just standing on a cloud, basically. But it was kind of going, oh, wait a minute, is he moving, or am I going to throw up? It's a bit like wearing a virtual reality headset,
Oh yeah.
But so the build-up and the kind of razzmatazz and the lasers and the music and everything was phenomenal. And then, a fairly pedestrian vehicle appeared into the middle of all that, and it was a plug-in hybrid version of a Ford Focus. So that was the radical cutting edge stuff, and they did use two terms: mild hybrid, fair enough, I've heard that before, but they used the term self-charging hybrid on numerous occasions, and that got a reaction from the audience, as in,
Did it?
oh god, yeah, as if, are they going to really use that term?
It's the revolt of the Toyota advert.
Well, it is, and it is that kind of, for goodness sake, and I think particularly anyone who's got a grasp of cars at all knows what nonsense that is. I absolutely accept that's not who Toyota have aimed that advert at. They've not aimed it at automotive journalists or people like us.
Or car enthusiasts, really.
Or car enthusiasts of any sort. It's not aimed at them. But the amount of times now I've heard people say, I got out of my Tesla and someone came up to me and said, is that one of the self-charging ones?
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, that's bad.
Yeah. Oh, no, and people go, I don't want to have one with a plug, I want a self-charging one. I've got nowhere to plug it in. Which is, it's a brilliant bit of advertising. It's worked, it's in that sense. But no, Ford are going to release, this is why I was excited to see this, the Mustang-inspired 100% electric performance vehicle.
Yeah.
And I was going, brilliant, can I see that? Oh, well, no, it's not here.
But that's just weird, the fact that they sort of...
But they really plugged it. It was in the graphics.
It was.
They were showing. Yeah.
Was there like a little
sort of silhouette picture with?
It was
a
silhouette. I was just about to say like some sort of erotic silhouette. And it's saying, "Oh yeah, this is a Mustang-inspired SUV, and it's coming in next year, actually."
Yeah.
With a range of 370 miles, 600 kilometres. So that's pretty good.
Well, that would be great. It would have been great because their
really
whole shtick was this is, Ford is going to electrify its entire range. So I think virtually every car they manufacture has a hybrid or mild hybrid or plug-in hybrid or indeed self-charging hybrid variant. So, they are going hell for leather. It was my first contact in that world with Ford. Okay. So just about every other kind of European and some American manufacturers, I've been to events like that with them and had talked to their people. That was the first time I'd ever been at a Ford thing. Yeah. I don't really know anything about it. My dad always had Fords. The Corsair, the Cortina.
Oh.
My mum had an Escort.
Which,
if you don't know, that could sound wrong now. My mum had an Escort.
Oh, yeah, not like that.
It was a bit battered.
Well... happens to the best of us, Robert.
She was all over it like a rash. Yeah, so she had an Escort. My brother had a V8 Sierra that he imported from South Africa.
Did he really?
Built by Ford, yeah.
That's an XR8, I think they called that. That was a hell of a rare car.
Very rare car, very noisy, and in a very small Oxfordshire village, as he showed us, would burn serious rubber, which didn't amuse all the villagers.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
So they're going to do that, and then the Transit's coming.
But the Transit, that was the one that was at least there was, and that is going to be it's a production Transit, big, and because there's variants of Transit, isn't there? There's the smaller ones that are called something else.
You've got different wheelbases and different roof heights.
So this was a long wheelbase, big thing with high. You could walk around inside it. It was that scale of Transit.
Okay,
but that doesn't come out till 2021.
Yeah, that's a long way away. When you've got Renault, for example, who have just launched a van.
Yeah. Well, and now LDV, which is they've got electric ones. So
yeah,
there's a lot of that going on, and Mercedes are bound to do it soon, I think. Aren't they?
You've got this V class EQ series V class, which we saw at Geneva.
Yeah,
that it proves that they could make a mass manufactured van version of that in a matter of months. I would have thought.
Yeah.
So they are going to be late to that game. Oh well.
Yeah.
They're doing it is great.
Exactly.
They should just hurry up and get that Mustang SUV out there. And I'll be honest, I think they should hurry up and, as a PR exercise for North America, get an electric Mustang out there.
Yes.
An electric Stang in its current shape and form would be a brilliant thing to do, especially with General Motors doing the eCopo Camaro, which is my current love.
But yeah, no, quite exciting stuff going on over there. Because the LDV van, I just want to make sure we cover vans, because it's not just cars. LDV to launch new small electric van at the commercial vehicle show, which I'm actually going to be at. Very early in the morning. I'm doing a little panel with Quentin Wilson.
Fantastic.
About, I don't even know what I'm going to say, but they got me along there to say
Quentin's
something.
The man.
I'm going to say, drive electric vans in London and don't pay the
congestion charge.
Yeah. But
I'm looking
LDV.
forward. I think this could be the year of the van in many ways.
Yeah, I think companies, because it's that thing where, a guy that runs his own business, plumbers or a builder or something, they can't afford to buy a van like that straight away. It's got to be, and particularly,
fleets.
But fleets can say, all right, let's get 80 of them.
Yeah.
And we've got them. We have to park them anyway, so we'll fit chargers. We'll charge them. So every morning when everybody arrives to pick up their vans, they're already full.
Yeah. My postman has already said, I can't wait to test one. He said, if you can get your hands on a small van, I'll put it to the Royal Mail. I want to test it on my rounds. Well,
I think there is,
as long as it's hot, it keeps me warm and the radio works.
Yeah. Now that was a story I was trying to find in a panic, and I couldn't find it. There is a story. There is rumours of the Royal Mail, the British Postal Service, which is owned by Her Majesty the Queen, because it says Royal. Yeah. But that is, they're buying a load of electric vans, but I can't find the story, so there's no point talking about it. But
let's finish the Ford chat by just saying that the car maker, confirmed earlier this year that an all-electric F-Series pickup truck is in the works.
Oh, they have confirmed that? Okay.
Yeah, they've confirmed it, and a recent $850 million investment in US facilities will focus on fully electric and autonomous vehicles, which includes the classic F-Series pickup, which is still their best-selling vehicle. That was a really good stat I saw. In fact, from lovely Scott Brownlee at Toyota, who's been diligently arguing a lot of irate people on my Twitter stream. He has.
But one of the stats actually it wasn't him. It wasn't Scott. No, it was lovely Paul Kasplitsky. I can't say his name properly, in Los Angeles, who works for Toyota. Just did those stats of how many EVs are sold and how many plug-in hybrids and how many Toyota Priuses, and then it's how many Ford pickup trucks, F-100 pickup trucks. And
it's massive.
It just dwarfs it. That's what people buy in America. Is that they sell hundreds of thousands a year of those cars. It's just extraordinary.
Well, they're cheap to make. So they probably make more money from those than passenger cars.
Oh boy, I bet they do. Yeah, they're going to be, because it's mostly it's bent metal, isn't it? 90% of it is bent metal, and it's got some seats.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just big sheets of steel.
I was going to say about Fisker. Do you remember many years ago the Fisker Karma?
Yeah.
Which
I remember seeing it at a car show and going, God, that's the most. And I'm like rubbish at appreciating car beauty. I noticed. I went, God, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
really good. I love that, the shape of it. Yeah.
Well, Henrik Fisker used to design BMWs.
Right.
And then went off and did the Fisker Karma, and there's some of those cars still exist, and I never got to drive one, frustratingly.
No. I sat in one at a motor show. That was the nearest I ever got.
Yeah, and I saw a couple in LA, and I saw one come up for sale on Auto Trader about a year ago, and I really wanted to drive it. Right. But, if any fully charged listeners / viewers have a Fisker Karma, could you get in touch?
It would be great to film it. Yeah,
because I would really love to revisit that car. It was a real masterpiece.
Because there are some on the road in the UK then.
Yeah, there are, and they predate the Tesla Model S by quite a number of years.
Yeah.
But Fisker is back, and it is teasing an all-electric vehicle called. He says, "What's it called?" I don't actually know. It's an SUV. It's an electric SUV, and it's going to be. Fisker is saying that this is not a pipe dream, because a lot of people, I think, have said, "Look, come on, you've come up with these sorts of crazy ideas before, and they haven't quite taken off." But he's signed up a chap. Hang on, the cat's just jumped onto the keyboard. It's very unprofessional.
Oh, this is the story. This is Don Jackson.
Don Jackson. Yes,
Yeah.
Don Jackson.
All right. And he used to be at VW and before that at Toyota. There's the cat.
Sorry, the cat's just knocked my microphone over. Cat, you're such a excuse me, sorry. It's very unprofessional. I shouldn't have even let her in. She's proved herself to be useless. Yeah, so Don Jackson, industry veteran, he ran VW's operations in America, in Tennessee, I think, in an assembly plant. He's worked for other companies, I think Toyota as well.
Toyota, yeah.
So he's obviously cost a few bob. And
yeah. So they must have some money then now, because I know they all went a bit Pete Tong, didn't it?
Yeah.
Fisker.
It did. And he got a bit carried away. I think maybe his ego got a bit big, but there's no doubt the guy's talented and he's determined.
Yeah.
It says that they're going to release 3 new models at the Shanghai show. So that's coming up imminently. In fact, it might come out before this podcast, but it might not.
Right.
Hopefully it will.
Right. Shanghai's very soon, is it? Because I've seen a lot of things revealed at Shanghai.
Yeah, so Shanghai's in the next week.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's in the next week, where you'll see a number of things in their final form, like the Aston Martin Rapide E, which I'm going to get a ride in very soon.
Yeah.
But we can't talk about that.
No, can't talk about it because it's so exclusive.
It's too exclusive for work.
It's too exclusive. It's actually more exclusive that I can't actually absorb the data. It's so exclusive. My brain doesn't have the exclusive chip.
If you can't absorb the exclusivity, then I'm just truly screwed. Truly.
That level of exclusivity is too exclusive for any mere mortal. Yeah.
It's wonderfully exclusive. Lots of talk of exclusivity. Peugeot E208, you know.
Yeah. Now, you did see that, didn't you? Did you see that at Geneva?
At Geneva, I got to walk around it and sit in it. Yeah. And there's a video on the YouTube channel right now, and it's gone down really well. Actually, I think people are enthused by it.
No, it's a nice looking, tight little hatchback.
It is.
That's my description.
It's a very good car. I'm actually looking forward to driving this a lot. And and the e-Corsa as well, which it shares its undergarments with. But yeah, so the production of that has begun.
Right, so they're actually making them.
Yeah, according to Peugeot, I believe, the PSA plant in Slovakia.
Right.
Has already started. They've already started rolling off the production line as of the 28th of March. So there you go. The E208, the first BEV ever to be produced in Trnava, which is the name of the place in Slovakia where PSA are making these. I'm looking forward to it because it's got a 50 kilowatt hour battery pack and
in a relatively small car.
Small car, and it will be aggressively priced. They haven't announced pricing, but it will be because it has to be, and Peugeot are... Yeah. They're going to be positioning themselves to be competitive with the likes of Renault and Nissan.
Because it is. I think it's an interesting window of opportunity for non-legacy OEMs.
Oh, for goodness sake!
I never thought I'd hear myself say that.
Non-legacy OEMs.
But it is that thing where obviously it's been in the news a lot. The Tesla Model 3. It was the best-selling car in Switzerland the other day because basically, truckloads of Model 3s were delivered to people who'd ordered them in Switzerland. So that day, by a huge margin, it outsold everything else. Oh, but kind of a slightly quirky way of measuring it. Yeah, that week.
There were 5,000 delivered.
But they've got that market wide open to them for that scale of car at that roughly that price. So you're still looking at between 40 and 50,000 pounds.
Yeah,
it's in that range at the moment. The Model 3, they're not the cheaper ones aren't coming through yet, but there isn't really any competition for it. It's I-Pace and Tesla at the top, and all the big SUVs, or a Leaf or a Zoe, and they've kind of, if they can get that middle bit there.
Exactly, and the middle bit really needs to have the kind of battery size that your Kona has got.
Yeah.
Something like a 64 kilowatt, or this E208 50 kilowatt hour battery. That kind of 50 to 60-ish kilowatt hour battery pack is what you want.
Yeah.
And you want that for sub 30k.
Well, you want to,
Or
you
25.
want to know that a car will do around 250 miles in the winter when it's raining. That's and if you're and if you're driving in the Netherlands in the summer and you can do 310, that's brilliant. But that's kind of crazy.
Totally.
So 250 miles. I just don't think you need a car that goes further than that, or an electric car that goes further than that on one charge.
Not if it charges at 100 kilowatts or more.
No,
if
exactly.
you need it to be.
Exactly.
Rapid charges. I think that's thoroughly real world.
Yeah. But the E-Tow, I know, I'm really looking forward to that. I hope we can see those soon if they're making them already. I mean, I've not had my exclusive elitist invite from Peugeot to go and see it yet. But
not to see it yet. But I will be seeing the Corsa quite soon, the E-Corsa, which will be similar size car.
Because of course that's all the same. I get so confused.
That's the thing
same
about
company,
PSA now. Of course, you got Citroen. It's like a big melting pot. You got Citroen, Vauxhall, and Opel have jumped in there.
Yeah,
and you've got Peugeot in there. Who else is in the PSA group? I keep forgetting.
I don't know. It's big. There's a lot of them.
There's a lot. There's a lot going on. It's busy.
Yeah.
It's busy in there.
But so let's. Have you got any other stories? Because I don't think I have.
Well, I've got a story which just came out of my own brain. And that story was. It's not even a story. It's just a thought. I just realised it's not even a story. That story is. I was talking to a guy today who helped me build my electric dragster a few years back.
Yeah.
And he's got some naughty ideas up his sleeve for very fast electric stuff. And I said to him, we've talked about buying a G-Wiz just for the hell of it.
Yeah.
Because they're about £700-800 now.
Right.
And you know how rubbish they are.
They are terrible.
Yeah, I just was like, could we put together like a sort of plug and play kit of just how to make your G-Wiz just dangerously fast? And I just thought that would be great. Obviously, you'd fit a roll cage in it and like some side impact bars.
Oh Lord, because I mean, it is like sitting in a vehicle that's basically made out of the same material as egg boxes.
Oh, it's a
that's
70s
what it felt
bath.
like.
It's like a 70s bath with another 70s bath on the top.
The sort that your grandma had when she had a bathroom refitted in the bungalow, and it creaked when you got in it.
It did creak, exactly. When you have a shower, if you stand to the left a bit, it makes a weird noise. Stands to the right a bit. It's exactly that.
It's the weirdest little thing. But that wouldn't it be? I mean, it would be terrifying because I remember driving at like 38 miles an hour in London in it, and I just went, I don't even know if the steering wheel actually is joined onto anything. I mean, it didn't feel safe.
No, they're filthy. They're filthy.
Wow, but I mean, to have one that would do a sort of 0 to 60 in 5 seconds would be hysterical.
I think it would be. I just want to.
Because are they rear-wheel? I guess they're rear-wheel drive.
Rear-wheel drive.
And
they're they're stupidly small and short, but it would be it would be funny to do something like that. And I've seen that my friend Colin Furs, who's a YouTuber,
very successful YouTuber,
one of the first big YouTubers. He's building an electric drift trike at the moment, so I'm going to go and bang on his door because he lives in the same town as me.
He lives near you, doesn't he?
Yeah, he lives really near, and I'm gonna try. He hasn't finished it yet, but it's annoying because I was thinking to build one of those, but he's building it quicker and much better than I would.
He's quite good at doing that.
He's just damn good.
Yeah.
Damn you, Furs.
Yeah. No, I love watching his stuff. I loved his the car that he made into a hot tub. But you could still drive it.
Fully operational, so the gear stick and all the brake pedals and all the switches under the water still work. He is bloody good. He's funny and he's clever and he's inspiring a whole generation of engineers. Much like I feel that you did.
Well, in a way, Scrap It did, but
he's
much better than me because he could actually do it. What I was good at on Scrap It Challenge is watching people like Colin build amazing things. I was quite good at doing that. But actually, well, I look the part. I really enjoyed it. I can do welding. I did learn from that, and I welded 2 bits of metal together that would not have just snapped apart. They were properly welded. But
did you weld in that special coat that you wore?
I think I did have the coat on, but I did have a proper welding mask and gloves. I wasn't just doing it randomly.
Okay.
that was not tidy. You wouldn't call it a tidy weld. It basically it looked like outside a fairly rough pub on a Saturday night. Like someone had thrown up on some metal, joined it together.
Pavement pizza, yeah.
Brilliant. I swear there were actually bits of carrot in the weld for no reason whatsoever.
That's just grim.
But the weird thing I could do, and I haven't done it for years, is gas axing. Using an oxyacetylene cutter.
Yes.
And I said, let me have a go at that. And we were cutting an I-beam out of the way because we were worried someone was going to hit the head on it. It was like in a pile of rubbish, and it was next to a path which they used to ride along on the quads when they were searching for stuff.
Oh yeah.
And it was just in there, so they were going to cut it down anyway. So they let me do it, and I just cut this line. I had put the mask on and. They showed me how to light it, and I got the little point, and he just did that, and it was lovely to watch it. The metal melting, just like just
it's like
melts.
Candle wax, isn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. And then this massive beam went "kong" on the ground, and I went, God, but there was people watching. It didn't fall on anyone. But then I kind of climbed down, and people looked at me. The kind of proper heavy-duty engineers looked at me with their mouths open. This wasn't on camera. This was the day before when we were setting up. And they said, how did you learn to do that? And I went, what have I done? And for some reason, I can cut really straight.
Oh, wow.
A piece of metal. It wasn't marked or anything. I just did the line. I was just fascinated fascinated watching it melt. I wasn't even I was just cutting it off. And it was so exciting that this thing just cuts through this great big heavy lump of metal. And I'm quite good at gas axing. I don't know why. I cut a car in half, which is great fun.
That is very cool.
That wasn't very neat. I'll admit that. That was quite messy.
It's a lot of work too.
It's a lot of work, but with a gas axe, you just get through all of it. There was quite a lot of flammable material still on the car.
Still inside the car, yeah.
Yeah, there was a bit of carpet that caught fire. So yeah, there was an ample use of fire extinguishers. But that's silly backstage scrap heap stories. But Colin is an absolute dude now, and he can actually make things. He is an extraordinary phenomena.
It should be part of the school curriculum, I feel.
Yeah, no, he's fantastic, isn't he? And and I love the stuff he does with his kids. It's great, when he makes that. He would be quite an alarming dad to have. You can imagine him running in with it. He's just built a flamethrower, comes to the kitchen. Hey, Dad, can you calm down?
I went over to his place with my son, and my son still refers to him as when I speak about him. He said, "Oh, is he the man who has the house under his back garden?"
Oh, yes.
And I says, "Well, yeah, it's a shed, underground bunker. Yes, but you're right. Yes, it is. It's strange, but it is it is like an apartment.
Under his garden. It is extraordinary, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have we got to wrap this podcast up?
I think we should wrap it up before it's an hour.
We
should say thank you to people. We ought to thank Ben, because Ben makes the podcast bearably listenable to.
Ben is our podcast master.
He is the I refer to him as a podcast czar.
Oh, okay, yeah, podcast czar. He's brilliant, and Ben, you're doing a great job. Thank you. And the other fully charged team, we're a small but dedicated bunch.
Yeah.
So thanks to all the fully charged people.
Yeah, they're very good. Well, Mark's on holiday at the moment, which is good. We've told him to turn his phone off and not listen to anything, and don't comment. Don't read comments.
No, that's true. I have told him to do that.
Yeah.
Bless him.
Yeah, bless him. And Dan's on holiday. He's driven an electric car to the Netherlands with his family. They're having a Netherlander holiday.
Oh, for sure.
For the Easter break. It's very nice.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, no, it's good. So we've got a lot, but we're still very busy. We're doing a lot of editing. The editing there's some nice shows coming up. Well, I just rough cut the Tesla Model 3 trip.
Have you?
That we did, which is kind of, I was trying to make it complementary to your drive, because you did much more kind of you always realise when it's too late. Oh God, we didn't really cover that. I mean, we did charge it using CCS, because it's European Teslas have CCS.
That's right, yeah.
And so, but we didn't kind of. I should have made a meal of it. I just sort of plugged it in. We filmed it.
Well, that kind of is all you do. You don't have
but
to.
the other thing I've just realised. I'm going, damn, I don't think we've done it. Is film the screen. Well, basically, by the time we got to the chargers, everyone was hungry, thirsty, or desperate for a wee. So we weren't really focused on because we've been driving. Because you can drive a very long way in a Tesla Model 3.
This is the thing, and that's why next to your rapid charge point, really, there should just be a little kiosk that you go in.
Yeah,
and there's a urinal, and
so
then there's a vending machine for
all in one
snacks, and then there's a barista machine.
Because it's like those old urinals they used to have in France. I think they still do them, where people can see you.
Yes,
it's sort of shoulder height.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I've used those in France and gone, but I just went, this is weird, because there was sort of a nice lady walking past with shopping and a poodle, and I'm going, she does know what I'm doing. She might not be able to see anything. It's not like you're
totally.
not vision.
And the smell is just like,
pretty intense on a hot day.
3-year-old Scotch broth. Yeah, it's just. I'm sorry, so sorry. I'm so sorry, but it's exactly like that, and it's just AdBlue. That's all it is. It's just AdBlue. That's all it is. I think all roadside services should just funnel all of their urine content into large containers, which
so you can use it for AdBlue.
Yeah, it should just be so truckers are adding their own blue.
Yeah,
effectively.
Yeah, I mean, you could treat it a bit.
No, don't
filter it. Do you not need to? Okay, fair enough.
Oh, well, you probably do actually, but just fire it into the exhaust when
But it's that thing where I remember that was on Scrappy driving behind a VW that they put in a diesel engine into an old Beetle. Yeah, because it was the only engine we had, which was running on literally on chip fat. I mean, as in from a chip shop.
Brilliant.
That's where we got it from. And I was driving behind it, and I could smell chips really strongly. We were starving hungry by the time we got to the hotel.
It's good. It's good, isn't it? It's
because
such
it
a
just
nice
smelled
smell.
like chip. I just wanted. I was desperate for deep fried bit of old cod. But then. So then if you're driving behind a truck where the truck has literally urinated into his...
It's truckatizer. there won't be truckatizer at the side of the road because you could pull over and there might be a little sort of attachment next to your AdBlue tank that you just,
But I'm just worried about what the AdBlue odour would be like. I mean, the diesel's bad enough on its own, but with added AdBlue...
I think you'd have this is such a big subject, Robert. I feel like you'd have to really change the diet of many truckers. You'd have to put them on a strict diet which optimises the AdBlue.
Yes. Yeah.
And the smell also, at least a pint of pineapple juice every 3 hours.
For example, that goes through you. Yeah. It's good for kidney stones, apparently.
Cranberry juice, it's good for your urinary tract.
Or then you could eat a load of asparagus to give it that extra tang.
Oh, give it that edge. Yeah, why not? Go for it.
Yeah. I really think now, by the time we get to here, we luckily haven't mentioned any classic folk rock fusion bands from the early 70s, which is a good thing, really, in a way, to get this far.
Yeah, I mean, we did touch on a bit of Roachford earlier on, which is not classic rock, really. But
no, late 80s. But I was a bit, every now and then I can get into a bit of Roachford.
Yeah,
I mean, I know it's Alan Partridge through and through, and singing along with Roachford. I've got a horrible feeling I've actually done that before he made that film. It's not impossible.
Are you pre-Partridge Roachford?
I was I think I might have been driving near Thetford in Norfolk.
Oh, yes. Thetford Forest.
Yeah.
You listening to Cuddly Toy or whatever it's called?
Yes. Cuddly Toy is fatal. I love that
song. Feel for me, baby.
Baby.
You gotta feel.
I must have said this. I think I've said this on the podcast before, but I did 3 gigs. And I can't think where. It was in Cambridge.
Yeah.
And I had to be the comedian that went on before Roachford.
No, you didn't.
I introduced them. Yeah. No, I did 3 nights with Roachford.
Get out of town. I didn't know this.
And the first night I did it, I'd never heard of them. I didn't know anything about them. And I went, I don't know who these people are. I met some of them before and they were nice, and then I'm into, then gentlemen, please welcome Roachford. I do remember doing that. And then going, why are they all so happy? Because everybody's going, ah! And it's like, and it felt like I thought they were like a student band or something. So, and then they started playing, and I just stood at the side of the stage, mouth open, because they were absolutely brilliant. And Roachford was he's a very cool dude. No, they were very good.
You should get back in touch with him.
Well, I kind of.
Is anybody affiliated to Roachford listening? Get in touch. Robert wants to rekindle a flame.
Yeah. Well, I think I had a long conversation with the bass player. Because that happened when I was in Australia. I was queuing up for food backstage at WOMAD, as you do. Wow. And very, very lovely chap was behind me, and we couldn't work out which queue to be in. He didn't know if it was if he was in a vegetarian queue. In fact, there wasn't a vegetarian queue. We were just in a queue. And I said, "Are you working here?" And he went, "Yeah, I play bass guitar." He was English, but in Australia, and he plays for. Oh no, I had remembered the name. Somebody in the Queens, modern.
What, Christine in the Queens?
Christine and the Queens.
Oh, really?
So he's the bassist for Christine and the Queens, and I had heard of them. So when he said that, I did the proper thing that you should do when you meet. So I was impressed. I went, "Oh, amazing! Wow, where's Christine?" So then I said, "Where's Christine?" in a slightly jokey manner, and he went, "There." She was standing right next to us.
No, was she?
Yeah. But she was talking to other people. Yeah,
she's brilliant, and I'm really sure he is too.
He did some of that. I said, "Can you do that?" And he kind of looked at me and he said, "What, you mean like slap bass?" And I went, "Yeah." He said, "Well, yeah, I'm a bass player." I went, "Well, I didn't know if you could do that. I didn't know if that was all bass players."
Yeah. Did you say, would you be able to like slap along to a really bad car chase?
I think I said, "Could you do the inter-scene musical breaks in Seinfeld?"
Oh, that just sounds like someone's just throwing a wet salmon at a wall. It's just so
it wasn't basic. He was luckily he had a great sense of humour. He was a very nice man. He loves Fully Charged. Sorry, that's the whole point of that. He was a big fan of Fully Charged.
You're joking?
No. He really wants, and I've got his contact details because he wants to do music for Fully Charged. And I went, "Oh my god,
bloody
we haven't
hell.
got any money, but when we do have, we definitely want to do it." Yeah, so we might have. I think we should, in between every shot of the car.
Hang on a minute.
Yeah,
he could be in Faraday Past, but
yeah.
But
I mean, he's
actually
probably
being able to be good.
40 years too young.
He is, but we could dress him down.
We could dress him down. He would be able to rock a tabard.
He would. What medieval instrument would he play? Don't know.
God, he'd have to play some. I was going to say Macedonian bagpipes because they're really impressive, but it's not right. It's got to be a string instrument of some sort.
It would have to be string, wouldn't it?
It could probably be a slightly bent, double-handed broadsword that has one string on it.
Like a primitive double bass.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really good.
No, it was good. I forgot about that. Yeah, no, that was he was a lovely man. We've gone over the hour.
We've gone way over way longer than normal. This is just.
It's drivel now. It's drivel. I feel sorry for the poor people who've listened all this way through. If they. So look, let's just say. Well, I mean, for a start, no. What? Oh no, I can't talk about that. There's two really exciting things that are definitely happening at Fully Charged Live, but I shouldn't mention them yet because we haven't discussed it together, all of us. So we all know, and I'm not sure what all the deals are. But there's a really good competition. I'm just going to say that if you're attending Fully Charged Live, really, I'm amazed.
But employees can't enter.
I suppose that would be bad, wouldn't it? If we
I think it's unethical. I'm just going to say it's a shame.
There might be. I think questions might be asked.
Questions might be asked.
But a really good price, and there's some amazing cars which you do know about this. But there's some really amazing cars that are going to be on display there. Oh my god! And it's getting very exciting now. I'm actually now very excited and optimistic because I think it's going to be amazing. So the amount of people that have got stands there now is just huge. So it will be literally double what it was last year. It's going to be a big event. So definitely worth going. What is it? 7th, 8th, 9th of June, Silverstone. Very excited.
First week of June.
And I've just now finished reading the final manuscript for the Fully Charged Almanac, as we've called it, but it might have a different title when it comes out because there's been lots of discussions in publishing circles about what to call it. But it's really good. I've actually learnt stuff today from reading the book that we've written.
Well, have you? Because that's good. Because I mean, I know you've got, you've been an author numerous times.
Well, yeah, but this is like Ewan McTurk is an absolute dude who's a battery scientist and a really good writer. So he's written this stuff that just explains what's in a lithium-ion battery, how it's recycled, where the materials come from, how many times you can use them. A lot.
Yeah.
And he does actually end the sentence with, and just as a reminder, you can only burn diesel once.
If you're going to follow someone on Twitter,
he's brilliant.
A very,
he's
very good guy to follow.
Yeah, he's very good.
He speaks a lot of sense.
He certainly does, and he'll be speaking. I'm sure he'll be speaking at Fully Charged this year. But it's but the book it's going to be a really interesting read. Our bits are good, Johnny. Yours and my bits. Your bits are really good. There was one bit that the editor had but it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't big. There was a small thing where she questioned what that was. I can't even remember what it was.
What was his swear word?
I think it was where you just effed and jeffed for a whole page.
I did. It might have been, a late night paragraph.
But it's good. No, I was really pleased with it. So they've got that back now. So that's all going off to the printers. And all. But oh yes, that's the thing. You can still, up to the end of Fully Charged Live, you can still order it. So it's on Unbound. All the links are on our webpage, fullychargedshow.co.uk. But we'll actually have a little table there where you can, if you want to, you can pre-order a copy at Fully Charged Live, because it has to be finished by the end of Fully Charged Live in order to have time to print it. There we go. That's a complicated piece of information.
No, it's good. I just listened to you. I hung on your every word there. It was great.
So that's and there's some really good shows coming on Fully Charged on YouTube. Very excited. But I won't spoil those. And I mean, other than that, it's so good that people are subscribing to this podcast. That's amazing. A lot of people listen to us, Johnny. I think we might lose a few listeners after today's description of Trucker's Tizer. Quite understandably.
Well, I'm very, very pleased that people enjoy listening to the spoken word.
Yes.
And we're always trying to get the variation of japes, fun and japes, versus some actual news pieces in. Yeah. It's a constant struggle.
It is a struggle, yeah. Because we're both generally very, very dull and dry people.
I'm boring.
I'm so dull.
I'm boring as fuck. Yeah.
There's a beep for Ben to get in.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's all really, isn't it? I don't think you can subscribe to that and subscribe to Fully Charged and have a look at the Patreon link and all that normal stuff, and then we can split this one up, Johnny. I'll do the first bit and you do the last bit. So that's all we've got time for. Thank you very much, and if you have been,
thank you so much for listening.
Where were we?
Well,
oh yeah, no, yes, you what?
I was going to say about